Welcome back to Hot Takes Live. We just went through the keynotes. You will get the recording in case you missed it for whatever reason. And we are off to the first session of the first track. Very excited about it. Matt Bolian, welcome. Cannot wait for your talk. Oh, you're mute. Mute.
I too am excited, Armando. Thank you for let's do this. So we ready? We'll just jump straight in.
No, so just a couple of words on your role in your company. You're co-founder and head of growth at Rev Partners, and you know a thing or two about RevOps. In fact, this is the topic of your session about RevOps, not all caps, being a methodology.
Yes, I like to say RevOps ain't, because I'm from Mississippi, but RevOps ain't a methodology. So we'll be diving into that. So confirming everyone can see the screen, and we'll get going. Okay. So gosh, I just want to do this. Interesting fact is I just had a 3 week I just had a baby, and he is 3 weeks old. I now have 2 boys. And I served in the military for about 6.5 years. It's actually where I learned revenue operations. It's military intelligence. It's a lot of synthesizing of data, disseminating of data, analyzing it, and then getting out to people so we can make decisions. So that's where I started thinking about revenue operations. So here we go. Where is the origin of this? Gosh, all I do is think about revenue operations. We serve Rev Partners serves as RevOps departments as RevOps as a service for 50 plus companies where we just do RevOps. And what I found is, especially as we started training people and looking for talent or going out to hire, is all broadly, we're just missing a common framework for understanding revenue operations. And let me give you some problem statements that we have. Everything you hear, which we're going to go over in a second, are too heady. It's too theoretical. It also doesn't give a way for us to make decisions. It's like when you talk about RevOps alignment, there's really no way to make a decision based on what that definition is. It doesn't connect strategy with tactics. Saying something's alignment doesn't give you how to create the alignment, and then doesn't tell you how to prioritize. Where should I be focusing on when? How do I generate revenue, and what should I prioritize to effectuate making revenue larger for the company, either through net new or expansion? And then there's really we don't have a common language. When I talk about outbound prospecting, or I talk about inbound, or I talk about ABM, or I talk about go-to-market motions, we're all talking different things and we mean different points. And so, when I say RevOps is not a methodology, part of it is RevOps is something much bigger than that. And it's an entire profession. And we'll dive into what I mean by that and how this goes. So let us continue. And I just went all the way to the bottom. So let's go back up to the home. Okay. So here are the 3 topics. What the heck is RevOps? And we're gonna go. We have 10 minutes. We're gonna go through this real quick. And then we'll get to these other ones if we do. And there is a framework that we can start applying. So let's go through. Number 1, I think this is helpful to ask this question. What were people doing before there was RevOps? Like, we haven't been talking about RevOps very long. It's only been, if you look at Google history, it's been like 5 years, and it's risen in popularity as a word. So what were companies doing, like Coca-Cola and Delta and these big companies doing? You know what they were doing? They were running profitable billion-dollar companies. They were doing revenue operations. So one of these points is revenue operations is not new. We talk about like this, some new methodology that we appeared out of nowhere. We start applying. Companies been doing revenue operations. The difference is revenue operations is now a competitive advantage. It's almost a price that we pay. And if we don't think about executing revenue operations well, then we can't run a company well. And that has not always been true. And there's been a systemic shift. So we have to think about it. So let's think about, if I'm just, and I actually did this as I was like reading every RevOps thing out there, about 50 different like ebooks on what revenue operations is getting ready for this. I went to Google and I typed in, what is RevOps? And if you look at this, first off, you'll see there's a bunch of paid ads, everybody trying to tell you what it is. Second is, if you go on this you'll see that there's a complete guide. What is revenue operations? What is revenue operations? What are revenue operations? Is SEO has ruined our ability to even think through this. And you'll notice all these are SaaS companies attempting to rank number 1 to tell you what revenue operations is. And that's just not this is just not very helpful. and you'll see SEO sometimes hits messes up our ability to definitions. And if you go and you start clicking on all those things and you click down them, you get definitions like this. You probably heard about them before. It is RevOps is an alignment between marketing, sales, customer success. RevOps is a mindset, a practice, a manifestation of unifying internal operations. And you just keep going and you just keep going. It's all the same. It's all the same thing over and over and over. It is, and you hear this, the strategic alignment between every department. And guys and gals, this is gobbledygook, and you can't in any way use it to effectuate or build a program on. Not only that, is many of these things are defining them. When you say alignment, you're defining it by the end state, and you don't define things by the end state. You don't define a soccer game or a baseball game or a football game by scoring points. No, there's a team of certain people, and there's all these rules and regulations that go in the game. There's specific strategies to win. You don't say the game of soccer is scoring goals, because that would be a hopefully inaccurate description, and it would lead people astray. So let's go through what RevOps is not. Well, this is RevOps is not. It is not new. It is not a methodology or alignment. It's not a mindset or way of thinking. And it's not something you can start or stop. Everybody, if you have a business or you are and you're working for a business, you are participating in revenue operations. So let's use and this is a very common analogy that's used when we think about revenue operations. I think it's particularly good in this use case. Is sabermetrics. Sabermetric is the and before, if you haven't seen, there's this big, it's all about the sabermetrics, and it's about the it goes over, it's a whole show. It goes over the video of how the Oakland A's baseball team were able to outperform everyone else, and it started a whole revolution that's now kind of been coined as sabermetrics. And so you look at sabermetrics, it is the empirical analysis of baseball. And what it does is, number one, it's repeatable and you can replicate it. It says with the idea that we can repeat and we can win over and over again. So winning seasons can be replicated and repeated. There's a process that baseball teams can teach, measure, repeat, improve, explain, and apply growth strategies to win more baseball games. It's built on this premise that there are certain things that you do over and over again that will help you execute, and thus a process can be done around it. And last, there's specific ways to collect, synthesize, and disseminate data that will help inform the process that can then be replicated and repeated. And so when you talk about what sabermetrics is, this is a really good use case, because when you look at RevOps, this is fun. Watch, what is RevOps? RevOps is it's the professionalism. It's a whole professional study. It's a study of the science of sustainable revenue growth that allows you to replicate, repeat revenue growth. And there are specific processes that you can teach, measure, repeat, improve, explain, and apply. And there's tools and behaviors that allow you that are best practices for collecting, synthesizing, disseminating data. So we talk about revenue, and the outcome sometimes of doing these is alignment between, but that is not a methodology. It is a very specific practice that people dedicate their entire lives to understand and to study. And it is a profession that people do. So when you think about that's what RevOps is. So with our time, as we talked about, and I don't see any, and Armando, I don't see any questions, but I have time for
a minute officially, but you can get a little bit over if you want.
Okay, so I'm going to talk. Yeah, I'm going to go. So there's some other stuff here. I'm going to skip this, and I'm going to go to one of my favorite slides. So we talk about this because you get this. People always go, well, how do I do RevOps then, right? How do I actually do RevOps? What frameworks do I do? First, because I've had to think about this, we have to train people. I've come up with an entire framework on how you become, and I love video games. Stages. Here's all the stages you need to be able to do. We focus on doing it in HubSpot and not Salesforce. So this is HubSpot Power User. But how do you become an admin and that specializes in a RevOps professional that specializes in HubSpot? There's a full methodology. If you go becoming a HubSpot admin, you can go look at that. But the next is, now this is funny. People have attempted to explain this, but what do they give you? They give you, we have this methodology as RevOps, and you have the 3 pillars of RevOps, which are process, people, platform. Again, there's no way to there's no way to make decisions or prioritize on that. It's just it's a good way to write a book, and it sounds smart, not a good way to make decisions. Oh, whoa. Then someone came up, let's do the 4 pillars, because we need 4 pillars or better than 3. And then, oh gosh, we had the 5 areas of RevOps, and we added another one, and then 6 pillars where my point is, like, this is ways for us to explain, but it is not ways to create practical applications of revenue operations and to execute inside your business. And by the way, and I love him, Sangram. He now has the 7 pillars. Oh my god, of go-to-market.
Of course.
Yeah, so it just keeps building on each other. Now, this is what, and I like to say this, I'll do this really quick, is, and we love, if you haven't used them, it's winning by design, but like looking at this, here's a framework. And a framework has to have ingredients, it has to have an order, it has to be repeatable, it has to have a language that we can all look at. And so there are ingredients to do revenue operations. You must understand the business model, understand your go-to-market motions, have a data model that you're effectuating, have math models that support that, understand your tech stack, and then have your sales process done. And to do that is the order. And so we're able to take this and we think through it. And here, this is, if you take practical, identify your business model, which is, it's a reoccurring business model. How are you doing it? What's your go-to-market motions? Like, who are you selling to? Are you doing account-based? There's marketing, sales, and CS. What's the data model that you're creating? We use a bow tie model from left to right. It goes past customer journey. What tool stack are you using? How are you then collecting that in your CRM and your marketing automation platform? Then RevOps is changing and affecting your conversion ratios. Breadcrumbs is a good example of that. It can affect the conversion ratios from NQL to SQL or from any data model you're building. Then you prioritize and reiterate. That's how you do revenue operations.
Love it. So we have 3 minutes to go. Are you comfortable sharing this deck?
Yes.
Great. So in the afterwards, we'll share the deck, we'll share the recording. Matt, this was great. Appreciate that. So we have a question from Kathy. How might one get started learning about RevOps?
Oh, I get this a lot. I'm actually going to go back to this slide. When you say is this get question, because, and this is really difficult, is
it's kind of a checklist.
It's right? Like a checklist, but it's like, how do I understand RevOps? Well, to do RevOps, you still like go to market. It is like how, like you, in some ways, like do you often draw process map flows and understand that there's dependencies? And so understanding how to use Miro. How do you or have you built and played with Zapier, and have you done make.io? And can you build no-code integrations and understand data models? If you look at it from a user standpoint, are you in a CRM? It could be HubSpot or Salesforce, but are you in a CRM? And are you in it today, or do you have that job? So the way I say start is go into Salesforce or go into HubSpot, get certifications, and then get a role where you're in the CRM each and every day. And then you can start checklists. Learn SQL, learn a PMP, get your PMP, get P&L, and start learning sales, and it'll naturally come from there.
That's awesome. And deck available afterwards. One question for me before wrapping up your session. So I think the thing that stuck with me of the quick overview was all the things that RevOps is not. And you were saying RevOps is not new. And I generally agree with you. But there is also something new about it, right? Because it's also very clear to everyone in tech that works around GTM that RevOps is becoming a thing, is becoming more important than it was before. And it's kind of, exploding, bubbling up, depending on where you are in the level of expertise / seniority. So what is new about it?
I skipped the rise of RevOps.
Okay.
That is a thing. So I would say this is not new, but here's in my opinion, the cause. And I'm going to go real quick. Let me do this. So first off, everybody has internet and broadband access. And for the first time in history for the last 10 years, where there is people on the internet, and the way the B2B buyer's journey has changed.
Oh yeah.
Lost control of it. And we've all seen this
a lot.
And we hear it, but it has changed.
Yeah.
But part of what has changed.
Wait, it's not a funnel anymore. No, it's not.
Well, I would say it's a boat model, which you could say it's an upside down funnel, but there's data, and there's data, and data is being collected because everybody's on the internet. It's become more digital. And so we've lost the ability to understand where people are in the funnel. And how do you learn that? And how do you do it? Next is our business models are more complicated because we're moving to reoccurring. models where
Yeah.
everybody we've Amazon-fied all of how we want to purchase, and SaaS needs a TAM. I'll say this.
We're talking about it as the Daft Punk law: harder, stronger, faster, better. Everything is more complicated, and it's going to be more complicated in the future compared to what it is today, right?
More data, everyone, more data, less visibility. And how you fix that? RevOps has become a competitive differentiation.
More data, more tools, faster speed of change, higher requirements from a customer journey point of view, right? Love it. Matt, thank you so much for this. Anyone that wants to reach you and talk to you one-on-one, where can they do that?
LinkedIn. I live there in that sense. It's the only platform that I have in my life. So if you want to hit me up, go to Matt Bolian. You can search Matt Bolian, Rev Partners, send me a note, and I will get back at you.
I appreciate that very much. Everyone listening in, we are going to take our 4-minute pause. Meanwhile, we ramp up for the next session and going to be back at 45. Thank you so much.